Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Catherine and this is Raspberry Reads. Today I have my most anticipated books for 2025 video. I've been struggling with this one for a while. I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts on this. How do you find out about books going to be published, forthcoming books, so books published in the sort of the next year or so? Because I check Goodreads, I obviously watch other booktubers, and I also tend to check out like Waterstones and Blackwell's for their upcoming releases. But I always seem to miss out on a lot of good titles. And so I'd just be really curious, how do you find out about upcoming releases? Are there particular channels I should be subscribing to? Are there maybe like newsletters or something? I know you can get emails from publishers, but I'm talking sort of holistically. How do you find out about new releases? Anyways, I'd be very interested to find out, but we're not talking about that today. We're talking about books that I do know are coming out in 2025 that I am excited to read. So I've got my computer set up in front of me so that I can read the synopsis for you, because it's too much for me to remember all in one go. Right, so without further ado, the first book that I am very excited to get to Is a River Alive by Robert Macfarlane. This is coming out in May, towards the end of May, and I really enjoyed Robert Macfarlane's Underland. So he's a nonfiction sort of nature memoir writer, and this one is all about rivers. And I don't think I really need to say much more than that, but the sort of synopsis says, Is a River Alive is a joyous exploration into an ancient, urgent idea that rivers are living beings who should be recognized as such in imagination and in law. Macfarlane takes readers on 3 unforgettable journeys teeming with extraordinary people and places, to the miraculous cloud forests and mountain streams of Ecuador, to the wounded creeks and lagoons of India, and to the spectacular wild rivers of Canada, imperiled by mining, pollution, and dams. Don't I know that? Braiding these journeys is the life story of the fragile chalk stream a mile from Macfarlane's house, which flows through his own years and days. Sounds fascinating. So yeah, May. Very excited for that one. Up next, we have Follow Me to Africa by Penny Haw, and this is coming out in February. So this is historical fiction, and it is about, I think it's about Mary Leakey, or it's a retelling similar to her story. Let me pull it up for you. Yeah, so it's about the groundbreaking paleoanthropologist Mary Leakey, who discovered sort of first humans. And it's a dual timeline story of intergenerational friendship and a meditation on beauty of the natural world, and a celebration of the women who, who paved the way for those to come. Yeah, it sounds really fascinating, and I just want to give a shout out to a Book Olive over at a Book Olive, because she mentioned this in one of her recent videos. So I'd like to give Olive credit for bringing this book to my attention. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but this book comes out in February. The next book is called The Stolen Queen, and this is by Fiona Davis, and I believe this just came out. Yeah, I have different dates. Some of the things that I've seen says December, but then Goodreads says the 7th of January. So in any case, it's out now. And The Stolen Queen is set in Cairo during the 1930s, sort of like that Egyptology craze. And then later in the late 70s in New York City. And yeah, it just sounds like a really interesting dual timeline. I love anything about ancient Egypt, so sounds like something I'd be interested in. And I just want to recognize that I heard about this from Bookworm Adventure Girl and Ellen Made Book Club, so I'll link both of their channels down below. Sorry, if I'm looking off screen, it's because I've got my notes, my computer, all over the place. Okay, so the next book we have is called Holy Ground on Activism, Environmental Justice, and Finding Hope. And this is by Coleman Flowers. And this book, I think I stumbled across on Waterstone's website, either that or Blackwell's. And this is a collection of essays, which is something that I very rarely pick up, but it's an inspiring collection of essays, personal and political, from the leading environmental justice activist of our time that frames the challenges we face as a society. And it's set in America, and so Coleman Flowers is obviously an environmental activist. And it just sounds like a really interesting nonfiction perspective on environmental justice. So I would like to get into it as soon as I can, and it's supposed to be out at the end of January. Next up, and one that again I found on either Waterstone's or Blackwell's websites, is Isola by Allegra Goodman, and this is out in February, and this is historical fiction about a French noblewoman on a deserted island, and it says, heir to a chateau with its own village and lands, Marguerite is destined for a life of prosperity and gentility. Then she's orphaned, and Jean-Francois de la Roque de Roberval, an enigmatic and volatile older man Marguerite has never met, becomes her guardian, controlling her future. So he sells her property to pay his debts, leaving her destitute, and insists that she accompany him on an expedition to New France. Isolated and afraid, Marguerite befriends Roberval's servant, and the two begin meeting secretly aboard the ship, drawn together by an intense attraction. But when Roberval discovers Marguerite's deception, his rage is all-consuming. As punishment, he maroons her and her lover on a small island, condemning them to certain death. Doesn't that sound fascinating? So yes, I'd like to get to that at some point this year. Okay, next up we have another historical fiction set in ancient Egypt, and this is a ancient Egyptian myth retelling, and this is Nephthys by Rachel Louise Driscoll. So Nephthys is the sister of Isis, and yeah, I think it's just about her story. So I heard about this from Jean over at Jean's Thoughts. She always has great recommendations for Greek myth retellings, because that's her sort of doctoral area of expertise. So highly recommend checking out her channel if you're not familiar with it. But yeah, so Nephthys comes out in February, and I would like to get to that one at some point. All right, I am very quickly losing my voice, so I'm going to power through this. The next book is called The Beauty of the End, and this is by Lauren Stienstra, and it comes out in April, I believe. And this is speculative fiction, or almost like dystopian fiction, and it's about two sisters and what happens when people are no longer able to reproduce, and then therefore we're facing extinction. So that sounds harrowing, and I cannot remember whose channel I found this on, so apologies if it's yours. It might have been Jean's, it might have been Jen Campbell's, who I'll also link down below because she's got some great recommendations as well. But yes, in any case, this sounds like a really interesting book, and I do like dystopian fiction, so yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to the beauty of the end. Right, up next we have Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaghy. And I read Migrations by McConaghy, and I absolutely loved that book. And this one seems to have sort of a similar vibe to it. So it says, a family on a remote island, a mysterious woman washed ashore, a rising storm on the horizon. Dominic Salt and his 3 children are caretakers of Shearwater, a tiny island not far from Antarctica. It's home to the world's largest seed bank. That got me. Always interested in a seed bank. And Shearwater was once full of researchers, but with the sea levels rising, the salts are now its final inhabitants, packing up the seeds before they're transported to safer ground. Despite the wild beauty of life here, isolation has taken its toll on the salts. And yes, it seems to be about their situation on this island and then this mysterious woman washing ashore. Sounds very intriguing. And as I said, I love Charlotte McConaghy's writing. She does a lot of really good sort of environmental and climate crisis type writing or themes in her writing. So yeah, I'm very intrigued about this one. And it comes out in March. So yeah, not long to wait. Okay, 2 more to go. So next up we have, it's called Black Woods, Blue Sky by Eowyn, Ivey. And this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling set in Alaska, and it comes out in February. Again, I saw this book on somebody's channel, and I can't remember who it is, so apologies, but it does sound very interesting. And I do really like the story of Beauty and the Beast, and I do like work set in wilderness, fiction works, I should say. So yeah, Blackwood's Blue Sky sounds really intriguing. And then last but not least is The Dream Hotel, and this is by Laila Lalami, and it's out in March. And I believe this is a Moroccan author, and this is speculative fiction again. And the premise is essentially what happens when big tech corporations sort of take over our dreams. Terrifying, and not out of the realms of possibility, I'm sure. So yeah, that sounds intriguing, and yeah, I'd be interested to read something from a Moroccan author, because I don't know if I've ever read anything by a Moroccan national. So those are 10 books coming. So those are 10 books which are going to be published at some point in 2025 that I'm looking forward to getting to. I'm sure there's many more, but yeah, this is just sort of getting us off to a good start. And I'd be interested to go back and look at my 2024 video to see how many of the books that were coming out last year I actually ended up getting to. I have a feeling not many, but that doesn't matter. We can be excited anyways. So firstly, have you heard of any of these books? And if so, are you excited to read them? And also, what are some of the books that you're really excited to get to that are coming out this year? Please let me know, share in the comments. Let's get a good discussion going. So yeah, that just leaves me to say, before I completely lose my voice, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're enjoying whatever it is that you're reading, and I will see you soon in a new video. Okay, take care. Bye.